Home, the gold.
He could be too far. No, he's kicking. Oh, what a catch!
Puts a spicy forehand out in front of Naomi Morcilla.
Wu for the win. Team Canada. Darren Wu!
Santos with the layout grab.
Oh, that fantastic grab. The claws of Chaffer.
Canada just became the world champions.
Canada and the rest of the world, you're listening to the Huckin podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Theo Wan, living in Kingston, Ontario. We'll be in Surrey, BC quite shortly, but currently still in Kingston, Ontario.
And I'm Danny Proby from Vancouver, BC, and we are your coast-to-coast guide to all things Canadian Ultimate. And it is the best time of year if you are a Canadian Ultimate fan. Later today, I'm heading out to go commentate some juniors, but then we're going to be talking today not about the juniors. We're going to be talking about the seniors. So this whole episode, it's not going to be news. There's not going to be a catch-up. It's just going to be senior mega preview.
Mega preview. We're talking the big event that's coming. We're going to jump right into it. There's no catch-up time. Danny, good luck in your commentating tonight.
Thank you.
Showcase game. Get fired up. Games throughout the week. As I already said, Danny and I will be on the mic on Wednesday, junior women's finals. Super stoked. But we're going to talk seniors preview. We're going to start in the women's division. 4 pools of 4, 16 teams. You got to love that. That's first of all. Got to love it. 16 teams back in action. We're going to first start with Pool A. So that is the number 1 seed. According to our Instagram comments, perhaps a controversial number 1 seed, but hey, the number 1 seed nonetheless from Vancouver. They came second at UCI in 2021. Most of their team returns. If you go to their like Ultiworld Livewire post or whatever, there's like, I counted 3 additions, departures. Like there's not a lot of movement. So they have a lot of their big name players back. Catherine Menzies World Games, you know that name. There's also a Callahan finalist, All-American second teamer Madison Ong, Sarah Norton, who had 23 goals at the World Ultimate Club Championships in 2022, and someone who's also on the World Game shortlist, Mary-Eve Beauchemin as well. Matt Boyle, back coaching.
Doyle.
But
I'll let him know you said Boyle.
Why did I write Boyle? Okay, Matt.
I don't know.
Matt Boyle. Matt Doyle coaching, but adding someone pretty cool. Mike Fung added to the squad?
And Mauro Ortiz, he's been helping out our offensive systems. And if you know Good Ultimate, you will have heard thy name, Mauro Ortiz, back in the day when Furious was winning everything and Canada was winning everything. He was a big part of it.
So they got a revamped coaching staff. They're 2-0 against teams at CUC so far through their wins at BC Regionals. They were number 1 in the USAU rankings. They've dropped down to number 7, but hey, still top 10. Gotta love that. They're 5-4 against teams that have made USAU nationals, including wins over Molly Brown and Flipside. They had a tougher US Open and looking to bounce back with the Canadian Championship dub. And that's who is the top seed overall, top seed in Pool A. Number 7 seed overall. And remember, as I say these seed numbers, this was done in a pot system. So just remember that. And you can, of course, watch that episode. Somehow the episode dropped from 1,900 views to 1,800. I don't know how that's possible, Danny, but it got me a little bit annoyed when I saw that. But anywho, Fusion out of Winnipeg, they came 3rd at UCI in 2021. They returned Megan Gillis, who had 14 goals at U24s, and Sarah Jacobson, who had 20 assists and 10 goals at U24s and was like Canada's best or second best player at that tournament. No Carmen Lee Chochinov or Krista Aiken on this team. Both had 20 assists each at WUC. Captain Jolie Valencerina led the team with 27 points at WUC and got experience along with Avery Sims at the US Open with the Sixers. So hopefully that will carry them over into nationals. They finished 20 out of 40, so halfway at WUC. And so the core of the squad got experience against a lot of the top teams in the world, which they're hoping will lead to good things at CUC. Unfortunately, the tournament they played this year, Fishbowl, they went 1-5. So only 1-2 against teams at nationals, but they do hold a victory over Stella, but have losses to Sixers and Iris at that tournament. So the question is, like, can this team hit the semifinals like they did in 2021? Now, the third seed in the pool, more Prairies action coming at you. The number 9 seed overall, Remix out of Alberta. They came 6th last year. And from what I remember or gathered when I was commentating their team, a lot of players had retired and kind of like moved on. So they had to like funnel the two cities into one team. There was like a team called Wildish at UCI in 2021. It's kind of similar to what Flat Ball Club is doing on the open side over there. Eden Vanderlyn led the team with 13 assists and 2 goals last year, and they have the calm handling of Amanda Ho in the backfield. They have a head-to-head game against fellow qualifier Drift at Summer Solstice, and they beat them 12-10, and they finished 5th at that tournament. They had close 1-point losses to Seattle End and Oregon Downpour, so they got some experience against U.S. teams, and hoping that will carry them through to potentially a quarters run here. The last team in the pool, I'm not going to lie, a lot of people probably not going to know very well. Queen City Bees out of Regina. G Lee coaching. Come on, always going to give a shout out to G Lee, our favorite podcast fan out here. Love seeing a women's team from Saskatchewan at this tournament, and they get to kind of play teams near them, but I guess they don't play them probably too often anyways. I think having an unknown team can have its benefits because people don't know who you are, so they can't really scout you. But we're going to say game to watch for each pool. Game to watch here, it's going to be the 1 and 2 seeds going at it, Traffic Fusion. Fusion, if you want to get your tournament started off right, big dub against Traffic to get things going can move things along and get you pretty stoked. So that's Pool A coming at you.
That will be the third game on the first day too, after the hottest day. So it'll be an epic battle, that game.
Caliente, right?
Personally, it's going to be really caliente. Exactly. So moving on to Pool C, we have Sixers, Venus, Hucklebears, and Oz.
B.
Pool B. Theo, you don't see the video, but Theo's doing some weird hand signals to me. What did I say? Pool C? Well, let's see Pool B with Sixers, Venus, Hucklebears, and Oz. That's what I meant. So the number 2 seed overall, number 1 seed in this pool, Sixers from Toronto. They came first at UCI in 2021. So the elephant in the room is that they did lose some key pieces in Lauren Kimura, Laura Kinoshita, Molly Lewis, and Hannah Dawson, to name a few. But the cupboard is definitely not bare. They still have Alyssa Mason, who had a great US Open and anchors their defensive line. And we have Brittany Dos Santos, one of the best female matching players in the entire world. And they also returned Cindy Trong. So they're good. They got lots of young talent coming up. They have U20, U24 star Tiffany Zhang, who had 35 points combined at the 2 tournaments, and added Huckin a defensive or D1 offensive player of the year and ex-Danger Noodle Jocelyn Lee, and U24 mix and Incognito's Monica Wang. So they got some new blood into their team. They are going to be fast, all those things you normally expect to see from Sixers. At the US Open, they came 7th overall, and they are 9th currently in the USAU rankings. They had a close loss to Fury in quarters, and they're 1 and 3 against USAU national teams. So they lost to Flipside, Fury, and Molly Brown, all top teams. At Fishbowl, they only dropped 1 game to the Women's Masters champ Stello and avenged that win convincingly at regionals. They are 7-0 against CUC teams this season, but have yet to take on the likes of Traffic or Iris in USA play. So this will be their first opportunity to play them this season. Number 8 overall, we have Venus from Montreal. They finished 4th at CUCs in 2022. They started their tournament off last year with a big upset, 11-10 over Cube, and got an 11-10 win over Stella as well. Unfortunately for the Montreal group, both of those teams avenged their wins, with Venus losing out in the bronze medal game to Stella. Leading assist getter Kathleen Goulet and Maud Sampson are also back, as well as Leanne Campbell, the D1 Women's Player of the Year. So they are 4 and 3 against CUC teams, and they are in this middle tier where they beat teams lower than them like Momentum and Valkyrie, but have yet to topple the likes of Iris or Cube. Their loss to Cube at Frisbee Fest early in the season was close. It was 7-6, so they're right there. So the question is, can they repeat some of the upset magic from last season to be able to find themselves into semifinals? All right, number 10 overall and 3rd in this pool, we have Hucklebears from Victoria. So they did not play in 2022. We have Amira Madison, who also coaches UVic, is on the squad. Expect big bombs, big skies from her. They are 1-1 against CUC teams this year, and they got the big win over Drift at regionals, which was something that we were kind of curious how that would go. That was going to be the play of the tournament for me. The game of the tournament for me. So can this Island squad make its way to quarters. They have Vikes players such as Laura Devonshire, Taryn Webster, Leah Dempsey, who can make a big impact on this team. I just love seeing a Victoria team back at Nationals. And like we said at Queen City Bees, it's kind of like you don't know what to expect from these teams, and that can really work in their favor. Number 16 overall, we have Oz from Ottawa. So this is a new team coached by Eric Hunter or Max Hunter or Eric Max. Or
Is he known as Eric Max? Is that real?
No, it's actually not real. But like everybody kind of knows him by a different name. But this is a new squad in Ottawa. So there's no more Luna. And this is the second team coming from this capital city. A lot of ex-Wicked West players. It's kind of like the pipeline team. Obviously Oz, Wicked West. There's a theme here. You know, the Belanger sisters both made U20 in 2020, and Riley played again in 2022. They are 0-6 against CUC teams, with their closest loss being a 4.1 to PPF at regionals. So this tournament should be a good experience for the young squad as they look to build a sustainable second women's program in the capital city. And our game to watch here is Venus versus Hucklebears. I think both these teams are a bit top heavy on their rosters, so if they're battling out, it should be quite exciting.
Yeah, quick clarification in the notes. I realized, as Danny said, I made a slight error. Iris and the Sixers did play. It's just in Canada play, not in US play. So Iris has played, or Sixers has played Iris this season, just at Fishbowl. So anyways.
It said US play.
Oh, okay. So
I said USA.
No, I was more looking at myself. Anyways, Pool C. We're going to see Pool C. Iris out of Quebec. AL champions from last year. Their closest game was 15-10 over Stella and Incognito, respectively. But, of course, there was no Traffic or Sixers there, so just keep that in mind. I mean, at regionals, they just went crazy. They defeated Momentum, a team in this tournament, 15-1, and then they defeated Cube 15-2 in the finals. So I'm going to say that again, 15-2 in the finals, folks. Like, that's crazy. Crazy results. Their only loss to a CUC team is Sixers at Fishbowl. Otherwise, they have 5 Ws over CUC teams. Anushka Baudry is back with the team. Let's go. Some players got U24 experience, like Roxanne Goder. Rookie Naomi Peterson, U24, D1 College Rookie of the Year, joining the squad. They got Penelope Robert still out there making some sick plays at U24s. One of the most like highlight reeled players from that tournament. Ultiro was clipping that like mad. And then Defensive Player of the Year in college, Nina Prevost, also on this team, is going to be a key piece. I was randomly played in a one-day mini tournament like yesterday at the time of this recording, so on Saturday. And they were just trying to get games in to like help their cause. So they just played 3 games against Starling and 2 against Siege. I wouldn't read too much into the results of said tournament. The team was just trying to get games in, which is like understandable. That's why I want General Strike to do, by the way. I don't think they will, but you got to try to get games in so you can get your Sanction 10. You know, some pundits out there might be thinking it's Traffic Sixers final, but just keep in mind this Iris team made the finals in 2019. They defeated Traffic in the semis, if I'm not mistaken, in 2019 to get there. So just it could be Sixers Iris final, it could be Traffic Iris final. You never know. So just keep that in mind.
Don't forget about Fusion and Stella and Cube, who you're going to talk about next.
Danny, cue me up for Cube, the number 5 seed overall, 2nd seed in Pool C, the silver medalist from last year. I already said this during the live draw, but you got to feel for Cube a little bit just because, as I already mentioned, they lost in the regional final 15-2. So by my fact checking, they haven't beat Iris in like what I know, like recent memory. So that's like kind of one of those, like, it's kind of like that Phoenix Goat thing where it's like you haven't beat that team, but once you do, maybe it opens the floodgates a little bit. Charlotte Latulip was a big-time handler for them, 15 assists last year, and I remember saying her name a lot on the broadcast that I called. And then their second leading scorer, Camille Bizot, is also back. This team has played 4 tournaments, and in every tournament they've played in, they've either come first or second. So they got some reps under them. They're 12-2 against teams at CUC, and their only losses are to Iris and Stella. So kind of those teams in that contention tier. Also got a chance to beat down some Ontario teams as well, Incognito and PPF twice each at Jazz Fest. So they're kind of like that team that is probably like a 5th place. I'm not going to give away my picks just yet, but like a 5th place, but trying to break into semis kind of level team. And that kind of makes sense with their seed. PPF out of Kitchener-Waterloo is the 3 seed in the pool, 11th overall. They finished 8th last year. So they also have a lot of tournament experience. They got some vets back, like Tori Bailey, who had 12 assists last year, Agnes Chu, Sam Hale, who had 10 goals last year, Alex Austin, and they add some new talent, or they have new talent. Annika Chang was a rookie for them and had 10 goals at the CUCs last year. Their best finish was 3rd at Jazz Fest, so hopefully they can take that result and do some good things at nationals here. But they do have a 2-7 record. They hold W's over Oz and Valkyrie, but have lost to Cube a couple times, as I already mentioned. So their games against Stella and Sixers aren't particularly close. So they're kind of in this like hopefully making a quarters run tier. I don't know. I don't think we're tiering all these teams, but that's a thought there. Drift, 2nd team out of Vancouver, 13 seed overall, finished 9th last season. I first of all want to say it's good that there's a 2nd team out of Vancouver again. So, Danny played for this one team, the Shippos or whatever. Like that team existed for a bit, but now Drift is back out here playing again. Courtney Ng had 10 goals, is back. Kelly Luke, practice player for Traffic, on the squad. Some UBC Thunderwolves, which is the B squad of UBC, is on this team. So hoping that gives them some experience for tryouts in the fall. They do not have a win over a CUC team this season because they played Remix at Summer Solstice and lost by 2 there. Number 51 in the USAU rankings, 5-6 against USAU teams. So they do have some dubs over American teams. And so, yeah, they went to SFI East, which I remember when we previewed that, we were surprised they were going. So hopefully that experience translates into some cool things at nationals. And I'm going to say the game to watch here is PPF Drift. Some teams trying to potentially break in to the pre-quarters. And so you're going to need that W, if I'm not mistaken, or at least, you want to put yourself in a better position. If you're 3rd in the pool, you got to still win your games in that pre-quarter, which we'll explain. But winning, going 1 and 2 in your pool will help you. So that's why Drift, PPF, game to watch. Keep an eye out. Pool C.
Moving on to Pool D, we have number 4 overall, Stella from Ottawa. They came 3rd in 2022. So this team rather were the No Borders champions, and they're hoping to make it to the final for their first time since 2018. They had a loss to Venus in pool play last CUCs, and they had to face Iris in semis, who many would have predicted to be the finals game. And they were able to eventually avenge their loss against Venus and came away with bronze. And I know I've watched this Stella Iris semifinal quite a few times, and it's definitely a game of runs, if we can say so. So they add some ex-Wicked West players, so it's good to see the program graduate people into the top squad as well. We have Emily Boisseau, who joins them also from Crank, who is the Huckin D1 Defensive Player of the Year, 2nd runner-up. They also have Sam Green, who's still slinging it, just chucking bombs, being an awesome thrower. Emily Kavanaugh also gained Team Canada experience this year and tied the team with assists at CUCs last year with Green. However, their leading goal scorer last year, Naomi Peterson, is now with Iris. So we expect to see some other players step up into that role. They were 3-3 at Fishbowl with losses to Iris, Sixers, and Fusion, but got a huge 11-10 win over the U24 team. They are 6-4 against CUC teams on the year, including a 14-11 win over Cube in the No Borders final. Now, number 6 overall, we have Incognito. They came 5th out of 10 teams in CUCs last year. They're a 2nd-year team. Their biggest departure was the big-time player for the squad. We had Karen Chan Lim and also Monica Wang, who led the team in scoring. And Monica is now with Sixers. Jess Gao also went to Union. Big players to this team. So again, expecting other players to step up into these roles. They added ex-Union players Kristen Tam, Sarah Lamb, and ex-Danger Noodle Emily Tran and Sabrina Trong to their squad. They have consistent coaching, which we know always helps. So they have Carson Clark and Jess Chen back. They came 2nd at the 2 tournaments this year, Tux and Jazz Fest, and they are 4-4 against teams at CUCs. They have been able to beat teams like PPF and Oz, but have yet to crack into the top tier of teams like Stella and Sixers. But there is no time like the present. So same thing we said with Cube. and they hate to be in a pool with a team that they have yet to beat, but that's why you go to nationals, folks. Now we have number 12 overall Momentum from Montreal. New team. Who dis? Fun to see a team within the Club M system. Normally we hear teams like Club M Magma and Manic, but there's now a women's team too. So like Cube, they have played 4 tournaments this season. They are 3-5 against CUC teams with wins over lower seeded teams than Valkyrie and Oz, and they'll have to face Valkyrie again in pool play. Number 14 overall, we have Valkyrie from Montreal. They did not play last year. So they last appeared in CUCs in 2018 where they came 11th. You really had to do a deep dive for this, Theo.
I did a lot of research, bro. Come on.
Like I write some notes in here, but I do not go back to 2018.
No, this is the last time they appeared. That's the last time. Gotta get some love to the OGs out there from that team.
Are there even a single player that's the same?
Well, that I didn't.
You didn't cross-reference the roster?
I did for other teams, but maybe not this.
All right. So they beat a now defunct Knox team from Toronto back in yesteryear.
5 years ago.
No wins over 5 years ago, ancient times. No wins over NACUC teams, but they do have a win over Salty, which is definitely a different team than last year, but they did go to WUC in 2022. Historically, a really strong program. They are 0-8 against CUC teams, but they had a close 7-9 loss with PPF in power pools and ended up finishing 4th, losing to the top juniors contender, Wicked West.
Yeah.
So I would say our Huckin A game to watch is Incognito versus Momentum. I think both of these teams maybe lost some of their top talent, but they have like this really robust group of young players kind of ready to peak at the right moment. So it's going to be exciting.
That's pools. So with the pools itself, you're going to be re-ranked. So the 16 team pools have like power pool situations. So if you're finished first or second, you go into power pools. If you finish third or fourth, you also kind of a power pool yourself, pool G and H. And so obviously the team that you already played in that power pool, you don't play again. So that result carries over. And then if you finish in the bottom of the top pool, you will face the top team from the bottom pool in like a pre-quarter. So there are 2 pre-quarters. So otherwise, if you finish 1, 2, 3 in your power pool, then you're Gucci. You don't have to play a pre-quarter, which I think is very important, folks, because not just only you get the extra rest, but then you avoid facing the number 1 or 2 seed in quarters. So power pools do matter. Okay, that's all we're gonna say. Obviously, it goes without saying that Danny will not be making picks for women's. Like, I think that's...
To be clear, I have picks.
Okay.
I'm not going to say them on air.
Okay. Hey, that's all. Hey, we're going to leave it at that. So, quarterfinals, I have Traffic taking down Remix. Okay, this is a spicy quarter. At least based on how I wrote it, like in my... how it was going to check out. Stella versus Fusion, and I have Fusion winning.
Ooh.
Okay, so Fusion, I got you getting the dub. I think it's because I have them winning a power pool match or something. I don't know, but anyways, it's because I have them beating Cube. So Sixers playing Cube. Sixers defeats Cube, and then Iris, the other top Quebec team, takes down Incognito. And in the semis, I have Traffic defeating Fusion and Sixers beating Iris, setting up a Sixers Traffic final. Danny is waiting for me to say what I'm going to think.
Say it.
So, I was wrestling back and forth with this decision, but I'm going to pick, people might say I'm being a homer, that's fine. I'm rolling with the team from Toronto right now, so I'm picking the Sixers to defeat Traffic. I know that there was some like talk in the comments. I think that's actually going to fuel them a lot, and perhaps it's going to fuel both teams. And maybe it's going to be the battle of which team plays better when they're like angrier or like fueled by potential like comments. So I'm picking Sixers to win, and I'm picking Iris to come third. So before we even move to mix, Danny, how do you feel that your podcast host or co-host has picked against your team?
I think if you are looking at US Open results, which both teams are at, and if you look at historical record between the teams, you picked the safe choice.
I was trying to be safe in one division. I don't think I'm safe in my open division picks. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
That's all.
I mean, I obviously hope that it's not that way, but whatever. It's all good. I forgive you. Are we ready to move on to the mixed division?
Oh, yeah. I will not be making picks for this division, obviously, but go ahead.
Yes. So we're going to start with Pool A. We got the number 1 seed overall, Red Flag. So they came first at UCI in 2021. They were also the WUC silver medalists, and they make the return back to Canadian Ultimate. And every team in this pool better watch out. I know we said this on the pool pot drawing episode, but this Pool A is nasty for all these teams that are in it. Theo, you're shaking your head. I'm so sorry, bud. Talk about your team in a little bit. But Neo DeBrew, along with others, are gone, but they added a bunch of U24 mixed players like Philip Craggle, Emily Marshall, and added Eclipse star Bryn McCall, and some ex-Furious players like Samson Hoy, Braden G, and ex-Traffic Carrie Holst. So, you know the names, the Mott twins, Gag and Chat, though, Will I Am Vu.
Make sure you say that. I hope that you were going to say it. So good.
And Mika Kurhashi, D1 Offensive Player of the Year and First Team All-American and 2022 Club Breakout Player of the Year. Star-studded cast. So they are number 7 overall right now in the USAU algorithm, and they came 3rd at SFI East. Arguably, the semi was the final. So they lost to Cleveland Crocs in semis. They're 12. They came 12th rather at USAU Nats last year. Is their first time playing at that tournament, which is great. And they have not lost a game in tournament play on Canadian soil. They're 3-0 against CUC teams, including a 13-2 win over Blaze in the finals of regionals. They're the proverbial favorite here, and every team is going to be gunning for them. Based on our picks contest, the Huckin A audience believes that they are the clear favorite. I think that this is probably the most convincing gold medal pick. Would you say so, Theo?
Yeah, it's not that close. It's by a significant margin. People think that Red Flag is going to win. So, I mean, I think that pick is the one that is easier to make than some of the other divisions. Just because of Red Flag's dominance at UCI, but also what they've done in the US series, I think it makes sense.
And they've only added to the top of their roster. Their team is just exponentially stronger this year.
Yeah, I mean, you said the pool's tough. It is, but honestly, I'm just happy that we get to play a team like that.
Yeah.
So.
Number 7 overall, we got Crash from Kitchener-Waterloo. They came 5th in 2022. Their leading goal scorers in 2022 are Dwayne Neal and Neil Thomas. I love the first name as the last name, and they both have it. So they're back along with double digit.
It's actually, I didn't even pick up on that. That's actually kind of funny.
It makes me so happy. With double digit scorer Diana Spataru.
I think that's how you say it. I hope you got it right.
That's a really cool last name. They added ex-Union Dan Balgerson, who had 19 points at WUC, and May Nguyen, and ex-Sixers Julia Peden, but lose Tiffany Zhang and Amanda Hadwin to Sixers. They had a great start to the season, winning tucks, including beating the U24 squad. Thank you for including that note.
You remember that or no? You remember that?
I do remember. Yeah, we were up 7-4 at half.
So you played this Crash team, so you know this team's got some goods.
Yeah, they're they never give up, which I think is it's a rare quality to just still believe no matter what the score is, and it paid off for them. So they recently came 5th at No Borders, so they're trending downwards in theory, but it could have just been a dip, a little valley, and they're about to peak again. Battle tested against nationals teams 8-7, which includes a loss to PBHG. They're 1-1 against Spawn, and they're 0-2 against Crank, who's a top seed. They're 1-0 over local in their pool, but most impressively, they hold a win over number 2 seed Union. So, number 12 overall, we got local 613 from your neck of the woods, Kingston, Ontario. They came 9th overall in 2022. 20 points. Declan Gaynor is back. Trevor Gnechel, Victoria's finest, is back in the handling space. You know he's going to be chucking bombs. We got Huckin A defensive, or D1, I always say defensive, D1 Player of the Year, first runner-up, Katie Skoborski, handling on D, and WUC mixed coach, Peter Galbraith, also playing, not coaching.
He's playing.
Some people don't actually know that he plays. Describe his playing style.
Oh,
Theo.
You don't want me to do that. I don't want to get in trouble. You do not want me to do that.
All right.
I know he started listening to the podcast, so he might actually hear that part. So I'm going to I'm going to leave that.
Hey, Pete. Okay. So they also have another Huckin A award honoree with Offensive Player of the Year, second runner-up, Tess Whitman. Teams got a lot younger. So there's been a lot of Queens talent that has kind of been trickling into the team, which makes them young and exciting, which is really great because they have a lot of people that can throw precise throws deep. So if they're on their deep game, Theo,
watch out.
You know what?
Watch out.
Watch out. They finished 6th at Tux. They tied for 5th at Touring Tune-Up, and they were 5th at OUC. Why are you shaking your head, or are you happy?
No, I'm shaking head at the results.
However, they did parlay some big universe wins to come 2nd place at Nobo to finish to play against top seed PPHG. So they are 8-5 against nationals teams, 1-1 against Crank, a top seed, and have not yet lost to Danger Noodle. And I mean, they're seated a couple of seeds ahead of them, but such is life. That happens with the pot system, etc. They also beat Quest last year at CUCs, who they now have in their pool play. Can the teams from the Limestone City? What did I call this? Marble Slab City?
Yeah, that's incorrect, but yes.
Marble Slab's delicious. Limestone City improve on their 9th place finish from last year and make it to quarters. All right. This is another team, number 13 overall, that makes this pool nasty. So we got TT from Vancouver. In 2022, they tied for 3rd. There was a whole weather thing, so we had some weird ties. So anyways, these people they're coming back with a vengeance. We have Breton Tan and Michael Yee are some of their top goal scorers, but they have since left the team. They also don't have Lily Huang either. I feel like Breton and Lily were both playing in the U.S. I know that they were playing in the U.S. last year. I'm not sure if they're playing in the U.S. still this year.
Sprocket, no?
Carlos,
I think.
Yeah, they were on Sprocket. Yeah. Carlos Young had 18 goals, and he is returning ready to go. They have some players who played Fable last year. Their results have been a little bit up and down, to say the least, but honestly a little bit more on the downside. They didn't initially qualify for nationals. I know we kind of talked about this on the podcast, that they didn't earn a bid, and then another team didn't need their bid, and so TT was able to go. So I feel like they're underseeded for how talented they are because of kind of how that regionals went, and because there was Masters teams competing. Anyways, it was a whole thing. So they're a strong team, and I think that this is just going to make this whole pool just really, really exciting. I will be following along with my phone. Number 18, we got Quest from Quebec City. They finished 14th overall in 2022. They have Henry Dubé-Higgins with 10 assists. He's back. Sabrina Cote. Oh gosh, I'm just gonna
try it.
Chouvet.
I think it's Scouvet, but
it actually is Scouvet. That doesn't sound as fancy.
That's a good effort, though.
Scouvet, from playing with the silver medalist Cube last season, they suffered a 5-15 loss to TT at CUCs last year. So it's really fun to be able to kind of see this rematch happen again. They are 0-4 against CUC teams, but they have a close 9-10 loss to Red Fox at No Borders. Teams have had success in the past. This team, rather, has had success in the past as they came 4th at UCI. Only 3 remain from that team, on their roster. So, I love the deep dives. I just feel like you must be the most knowledgeable man in Canadian Ultimate. No, I felt like I was pretty up there.
No, it's called having a bajillion tabs open and trying to cross-reference stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, so they definitely have a new group, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It could be a very, very good thing. So our Huckin A game to watch, I decided this one. Theo did not decide this one, but I think local 613 versus TT, it's going to be very telling. Just kind of see where everything shakes out, because I think these teams are kind of right at that same level. And so it's just going to be who wants it more.
First game of the day, at least for local, I haven't checked for TT. And also, if things went to seed, the loser of this game doesn't make pre-quarters. So it's a good choice. It is a game to watch for sure. So, anywho, Pool B. Number 2, Union out of Toronto. The champs are back and looking for a repeat. But a lot of people, especially in Ontario, have been talking about this. There's been a lot of turnover from this team. I can name so many names. Danielle Leung, Dan Balderston, Alina Azuzena, Jackie Mann, Sarah Lamb, Jeff McClellan. There's more that have left the team. But I found out they added Jordan Ing Chen back. He wasn't on their initial roster. He's back on the team, and he was the MVP of CUCs last year. So super athletic. He's going to be like their universe point, like one of the top players, if not the top player on this team. Elavon, I know him as Elavon. I don't know how to say his last name. I'm going to attempt to say it on the podcast. Jivaraja. He's been a breakout player for them. And so I think that will be he has been really good for them. And I've seen that in action. Curtis Campbell from Hound. Ian Hansen, who's played Sprocket, also played Boston practice squad as well, which is a fun team. They had Jess Gow, who was the CUC MVP, Player of the Year, second runner-up for our awards, played incognito last year. And they add some U24 mixed players, some people Brianna Prentice and James Carr-Prees to the squad.
And all three of those were mixed players, so cheering for Union over here.
Clearly. They won heavyweights. They went undefeated there. They won regionals as well. And their games in the bracket weren't even close. They beat Crux 15-6 in the semis and then Crank 15-10 in the finals. So this team got the winning ways down pat. The only losses on the year are to Crash and U24. You guys beat Union? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So that was at Tux. That's early season. They're 7-1 against CUC teams. So they have that like pedigree for them. They will have to contend with another team from Toronto. That's Danger Noodle, the number 8 seed. Your bronze medalist from last year, they were seeded very low last season, number 19, in fact. So people didn't think they were going to make some waves, and then they made it all the way to the bronze medal match and then tied because of the rain delay. So Daniel Huynh, I've played against him many a time. He is a handling savant. He had 22 assists last year. He'll quarterback their offensive line. They added some ex-Hound players who were on that third-place team last year, Johnson Yu, Nam Ho, ex-Force players in Carly Muntz and Thomas Black. And they add super athletic Ryan Wilson, played GOAT, I think, for one season back in the day, played some Team Canadas as well. But they do lose Jocelyn Lee, who already mentioned, to Sixers. Their best finish so far this year has been 4th. But once again, I'm going to make the caveat that we saw them not do well at OUC last year. They came last, got the last bid. They made all the way, made a huge run. So it could happen again. So don't sleep on this team. Their only wins against CUC teams are against Thunder and Crux. And we already mentioned that they have not beaten a team seated below them in Local 613. Fight Club. Dan, you might give some color to this as well, because I know you know all these Vancouver players. But it's a Vancouver pickup team that has sprung into existence. And Danny, I think they have the best social media. Like they got the troll game on lock. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's just been some funny things that have happened in BC Ultimate in the mix scene. And I think Fight Club is memeing it perfectly. It just makes me lol. I love sassy, cheeky, witty social medias. I feel like Fusion kind of has a good social media presence too for that kind of hilarious stuff where they just make fun of their players or
other players,
other teams, their own players, and then other teams. I think it's good stuff.
So they do have a loss to Blaze, but of course they beat TT in the, I'm going to put in quotations, game to go, because that game to go technically isn't a game to go anymore. At regionals, they didn't have to play SKK, Strawberry Kitty Kisses, or Red Flag, so that potentially helped them. But either way, you just play whoever's in front of you. Oleana Chan, UBC, U24. They have Fusion's leading point getter, Krista Aiken, out here. Leading point getter at WUC, I should say, on the female matching side. On the male matching side, they have Daniel Wong, who's played for Hound, GT, Rush. Nicholas Chang, who's played Blackfish. Some ex-U20 players. This name I recognize from back in the day. Jordan Dillon. You remember that name? Keith Chow? Those are that's U20 players from back in the day. But hey, maybe they still got it out here slinging it. Anything else to add for Fight Club?
No. I mean, I did have something that I did want to say, but it was kind of more, maybe talk about it when we're talking about Strawberry Kitty Kisses.
Okay. Leave it for that.
But yeah, I think that this team, I don't know how much they've been practicing. So they could struggle early on and then find their groove as the tournament goes on. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, so that's the analysis from Danny Proby, who's the color analyst this weekend. So number 14 seed Red Fox from Sherbrooke, they were 6th in 2022, so much lower seed than they finished last year. The Dubé brothers are back working their magic. Jean-Daniel Dubé, otherwise known as JD Dubé, 40 assists last year. That's insane to lead the tournament. Brother Antoine Dubé had the most goals with 23. So The joke is the Dubé brothers just like to pass to each other, but you're seeing that in the stat sheet. On the female matching side, Charlotte Kristin, that might be French, but I'll say it English way. Kristin returns and has 17 goals last year. They finished third at regionals, losing to Harfang along the way. And at No Borders, they had lackluster results. They beaten Thunder and Quest, kind of teams lower ranked in this tournament, but they haven't kind of beat teams in the middle tier and above. So being 4-6, not the results you kind of want heading into this tournament, but maybe they can turn it on and compete in the quarters and beyond. Next, we have Jam out of Saskatoon. Wait until you see this deep dive. So anyways, re-rented mixed team. They were normally or formerly known as Bunny Thugs. And last made an appearance in 2018. Bobby Anderson's a name I recognize because played Fusion at WUC last year. Justice Paul's been on the team forever, along with Ashley Schramm, and they were both members of the 2015 Bunny Thugs team that won bronze.
I'm sorry, Bunny Thugs won bronze?
In 2015. Yo, talk about that as a deep dive that like you can even find out this kind of info. That's all I got.
I did not know that.
That's all I got to say. They participated in Disc Odyssey this season and Big Thirst, but the results are sparse to be found. So that's all I can give for you. Unknown team.
I did play against Jam this year with Forever Young. I think we beat them by a lot, but Forever Young's like an experienced Masters team.
What term was this? Big Thirst?
Big Thirst, yeah.
Yeah. Even resident fact checker Andrew Batchelor put on one of the comments of the Kamloops Instagram account saying, where are the results? But that was never answered. So
I think that they were maybe in quarters. I think we played them in the morning on Sunday. And the thing that I do remember is that I felt like they were the most athletic team we had played and like quick disc moving team we had played up until that point.
All right. Well, you're giving some scouting info for the teams above them in this pool. So the Huckin game to watch presented by Theo and Danny is Danger Noodle versus Fight Club. You have a chance to finish second in the pool if you can win this game. So, I mean, you can maybe even take the first seed in this pool. I don't see that happening, but Fight Club Danger Noodle, big game to watch out for. 2 versus 3 in Pool B.
Moving on to Pool C, we have number 3 overall PBHG from Winnipeg. In 2022, they finished second. I think they finished second at UCI as well. Like, I think it was red flag in the final.
Wow, good. Hey, and look at you deep diving out here.
Deep dive to 2021. That's not 2015. You crazy.
It's my job, right? To do like sports information, like archiving data. So like this stuff is like, it tickles my fancy. I enjoy like checking this stuff out. So,
well, I'm glad that the Huckin podcast can tickle your fancy. So we have the 2018 champs, 2022 silver medalists, 2021 silver medalists. They're ready to make a huge run once again. They have only 8 players that remain from that championship win. Do you know where they went?
I think one of them went to coach this team, actually, Kyle Thompson, and some players, I think, maybe retired.
Like some strike or fusion, some retired. Yeah. Okay. So the people that they do return are some of the same suspects that you normally hear about, including the nasty handler, the Thomas Boyle, with 17 points at CUCs, 40 assists, which put him only at second overall. Who had more assists?
At WUC, yeah. He had 40 assists at WUC. It was nasty.
Oh, and 13 goals at WUC. Wow, that is incredible. And it is a deep, and then they also have the huge deep threat. You've talked about this person before, Matthew Paget, 12 goals at CUCs, 9 assists, and 28 goals, which put him third overall at WUC. They also have Taya Nielsen, the Huckin D1 College Offensive Player of the Year, co-first runner-up, had 4 assists and 13 goals at WUC to lead the female matching side. And they also have the other Huckin D1 College Offensive Player of the first runner-up in Zoe Dick, as well as captains Heather Hems and Hillary Rempel.
Herms.
So, Herms. What did I say?
Hems.
It's just like the biggest M.
No, it's RM. I can see it.
It's like a 3-bumped M. Herms.
I can see why you see Hems, though. I could see it.
It's really small font, and I haven't had enough coffee. And all right, so basically this team is kind of like a lot of mixed teams that you see kind of popping up. It's like a group of friends that enjoy playing together. And so they have a lot of good chemistry. So They came second at a tournament in Wisconsin earlier this year. And then when they were matched up against other CUC competition, they won it all. They took down No Borders. Guess who they beat in the finals, Theo?
I don't know. I don't remember who.
Okay. So every game they played at that tournament was against national level teams, including, and they were 6-0 rather, including wins over Crash, Harfang, and Local. So do we think that this team can make the final again?
I can't say my picks, but.
Oh, right. Well, I guess it's rhetorical. Everyone's going to say a yes. Then we also have Harfang from Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, who finished 7th overall in 2022. The Quebec champions are ready to make some noise and get their way into semifinals this year. We have Alexandra Marian, who led the team with 21 assists last year at CUCs. We have Alex Dubois, who had 14 goals. However, they do not have Anne-Marie Branco, who had 13 points. Battleship was no more after UCI, so Harfang rose up in its place. They did, however, struggle at Frisbee Fest earlier in the year. They came 4th overall, but then they bounced back and won regionals with a big 11-10 win over the CUC Masters Mixed Champs in cold. Got to witness them firsthand myself. They're a strong squad. At No Borders, they placed 4th, losing to PBHG and Crank. And they also got some USAU experience, going 3-1 at Boston Invite before it got rained out. In total, they are 5-3 against CUC teams, but haven't beaten anyone seated above them at this tournament. Now, number 10 overall is another team that I've personally played this season. We have Lit from Calgary, Alberta. They finished 13th in 2022. At Sunflicker, this team made some noise, defeating TT 12-11 in pre-quarters, and they also won Big Thirst in the competitive division. Without as much opportunity to play against fellow national competition, how will they fare, Theo? I guess you can't pick. You can't even say anything.
These are all rhetorical questions that you're asking right now. That people,
no, I know, but
people
I also
in the audience are just nodding or not nodding.
But I'm actually just asking you.
I will say this: it's always hard for teams that don't play against. Like, I think it's just harder for teams that are like separated from other parts of the country. It's just harder to like get that competition. Is all I'm saying. That's my analysis.
That is true. That is true. They had 6 players in double-digit scoring last CUC, so they're maybe potentially a little bit top-heavy, and they all return, though, including 27-point scorer Dallin Mohagan, who will be counted on to stir the lit drink, and Heather Lloyd, who will lead the female matching side. Can this Prairie's mixed team make some noise? Don't answer, Theo. It's rhetorical. Relax. Number 15 overall, we have Spawn from Fredericton, New Brunswick, finishing 8th overall in 2022. So this team suffered a thrilling but tough universe loss to eventual bronze medalist Danger Noodle in quarters. And Theo, you actually got to call this game. Was it thrilling?
Yeah, it was insane. Danger Noodle was down, I think, for most of it, and they came back and won. And I thought Spawn maybe was going to get the dub, but yeah, it was fun to call that game. I think this weekend you'll remember some games like for next year. Like you'll remember, like if there's an epic game, you'll remember it. So just.
Oh, from commentating.
Yeah, just put that in your bank of memory.
I will. So this team has Jesse Brown, who just won a gold medal with Stello and I believe was the MVP for the tournament. And also Jenny Corus, who played Salty and Spawn, along with top assist getter Alex Brewster.
Oh, that's supposed to be Anchor. Sorry, Salty and Anchor.
Well, I mean, they also have played for Spawn this year.
I guess
so. It's not inaccurate. All right, and they also have top scorer Leland Morehouse, and they all contributed to Spawn's success. They had an 11th place overall finish at Boston Invite, and so they've gotten some good experience against good, tough U.S. competition, but they also lost the TCU 24 squad in pool play. They defeated Crash in the 9th place quarters. At No Borders, Crash avenged their loss to them, but Spawn does hold 2 wins over Red Fox, leaving them with an overall record against CUC teams at 4-3. Rounding out this pool, we have number 20, Thunder from Kitchener-Waterloo. They did not qualify in 2022, so it's exciting to see them here. The tournament darlings and final seed out of Ontario make their return to the big dance since 2018. Jameson Hyde and Greg Pants Taylor. Okay, side note, we have somebody on traffic that we call Pants. And so when somebody was filling out the picks contest and they put their name as Pants, I was like, Nancy? But it's not Nancy Pants. It's Greg Pants Taylor. So my new favorite player from Kitchener-Waterloo. They are the only players to remain from that squad And so this team has a lot of experience playing together this season, playing in a whopping 5 tournaments. Against CUC teams, however, they are 0-6, but they did come third at Northern Flights, but no major club teams were there. So for many of these players, it'll be their first club nationals. Can they escape the nerves and make some noise and crash their way into pre-quarters? Our Huckin game to watch, we have Lit from Calgary versus Spawn. And we think that this is going to be a spicy game because I think both of these teams are going to, they've never played each other this year, for example. And having seen both of these teams with my own eyeballs, I think that this is going to be potentially like a uni game.
I forgot I guess your team did play against Spawn in Boston Invite. So you've seen them in action. Okay, Pool D. The Blazers. I'm just kidding. Their team's actually Blaze from Vancouver. This team could shock a lot of people, maybe get the way into the finals, all I'm going to say. Top level, high-end talent. You've heard the name Cole Keffer before. He's played a few Team Canadas, I believe. Ben Burrell, he doesn't need an introduction. Devin Thompson on the, Furious US roster, but playing Blaze here. Aiden Weeb, junior legend. Julie Osada, or is it Oshada? Osada from Traffic. Delaney Ignatieff played U24s back in the day, some UBC love as well. I've remember seeing Aiden Weeb when he played on, was it Alpha? Yeah, Alpha with Ty Barberi back in the day. And he was like skying everyone. So hopefully this is like a coming out of retirement to sky everyone and also continue playing Frisbee. That's what I'm hoping. They defeated 2 CUC teams at regionals in Fight Club and Strawberry Kitty Kisses, but they did lose to Red Flag Big in the final. From the info I gather, Ty Barberi is not playing for them at this tournament. So that could be a potentially big loss. Danny, look like you want to say something.
I think he's in Greece right now.
If you look on his Instagram, he's in Europe. So,
Yeah, I think he's like at Mykonos with his girlfriend.
Yeah, he's living life out there. Blaze still has a high ceiling, so keep an eye out for this team. Speaking of teams to watch, you got to keep an eye out for the number 6 seed overall Crank out of Ottawa. They came 11th last year. This is not the same team as last year, though. Okay, they added a coach, Jamie Boss. They got veteran handler TJ Reeds, who helps their offense. Some people who have played in the Open Sea, Kyle Hunter and Eric Van Lin, playing for Hound and Phoenix, respectively. And they have a star rookie from Wicked West, Nell Hindman. Sorry if I got your name wrong there. Super tall, deep threat, big bailouts for them. Like whenever they need like a high stall throw, she just like comes down with the disc. ATL, otherwise known as Alex Tremblay La Rochelle, had a double-double last year, 24 points. And then Brian Perry had 23 assists to be second in the tournament. They won Frisbee Fest to start the year, including defeating your favorite team, Cold, in the final. They lost by 1 a tight tune-up final, and they came second at regionals, losing to Union, the number 2 seed overall. Their lowest finish was Nobo, where they came third. So, they got the results to back it up here. 9-3 on the year. They beat Harfang, which is some cross-regional diversity at Frisbee Fest. They own the crash matchup. They're 2-0 against them. But they are 1-1 against the 12 seed overall, Local 613, losing to them in semis at No Borders. Can they finish top 3 again, like they have done so far this season? Now, Strawberry Kitty Kisses. I know Dane might have some notes for this. Number 9 seed overall, new team out of Vancouver. They got some young BC talent out here. They got some players, female matching side I'm going to start with. That won junior women's gold, like Shannon Wu and Solana Wong with the Clips. But they also added U20 experience like Alicia Zhang, who had 17 goals at U20s, also played U24s, and was the Rookie of the Year first runner-up for us. And Jenilyn Ng, UBC, CUC junior MVP, and U20. Okay, lots of talent. They also added Aiden McGibbon, Rookie of the Year, second runner-up, and U20 player. Neo DeBro also played Red Flag. More U20 players, Davis Toth, Thomas Onyenhart, and then someone who played U20s and U24s, and Tyler Gunasekara. They won the Spirit Division on Big Thirst, so you mentioned this before, they have tournament experience, okay? They made it to CUC by beating full Sencat in the quarters, but they didn't have to play like some of these other teams. I'm not sure how that format worked. They lost to Blaze in semis and Yacht for third, but they still qualified. So they're 0-3 against CUC teams, but they're going to have like that young, youthful springiness.
They did just play a friendly game versus TT, and I believe TT won by a few.
Oh, that's going to stir up the quote-unquote message boards over here.
Yeah. But who knows if everybody was there or how seriously people took it, but all information is information.
Okay, the number 16 seed overall, Crux from Hamilton. They came 12th last year. They added ex-GT member Josh Bone. They have some ex-Crash Chaos players, Adam Lazenby, Nicholas Ballerin. They also added everyone's favorite university team, McMaster. So they had some players from there, Angela Yu, Priscilla Ma, Katie McMullen, and McKinley Schmulansky. And they return their four leading scorers were all female matching players, Kelsey Priestman, Elena Perez, Melissa Vandersloot, and Sasha Palmer. So we had them on the podcast before talking about gender equity. Teams might talk the talk, but they walk the walk. That's all we're going to say. They have 5 tournaments so far this season. They won May Days, including, they beat Notorious KWG, the second place team at Mixed Masters twice. But they've had some low results at regionals and Nobo, leaving them with an overall record of 4-11. But they do hold wins over teams seated way above them, like Crank, because they beat them at touring tune-up, and they beat local at regionals in pool play. Kombucha Culture, they got vibes. They're from Montreal. They came 15th in 2022. I heard they're an Anglophone team. I remember talking to someone at regional, so they speak English only, I guess. I don't know. They have not won against nationals level competition, and they have some turnover with only one of their 6 double-digit scores from last year returning in Anu Pam. Game to watch, Battle of Vancouver. Come on. Blaze versus SKK. How's that for a game to watch?
Yeah, I mean, I think like Blaze is even stronger than they were at regionals, so I would be surprised if SKK can pull out this game, but I think it should be interesting because if I'm wrong, then that does make this extremely spicy.
Yeah, it's true. Mix is a little different setup. 2 pool play games for every team, and then they play 2 again on Friday, and then there's a pre-quarter, and then from there, you either go to the top 8 or bottom 8, okay? So, Danny, I'll let you make the picks.
Okay, so in my picks, let me just pull that up here. I have it in my email.
And Danny has entered the contest too, by the way, so should you.
I want to win that Ulti-World full access pass. I actually have 2 Ulti-World accounts that I pay for, which I think is probably wrong.
You should be getting a free one, by the way, I think.
I know, instead of paying for 2 for the last couple. Anyways, so obviously I have Red Flag in quarters. I have Union in quarters, PBHG. I got Blaze, Harfang, Crank, SKK, and Fight Club. And maybe I would change SKK now for Crash based on more recent information, but that is what I had entered.
No, you've locked it in.
I've locked it in. Okay. So I have Red Flag versus Fight Club in semis, and I have Union versus PBHG in semis. I think that also, I mean, I wanted to make some like out there picks, and I don't think saying Red Flag, Union, or PBHG in semis is out there, but Fight Club in there, I think I could be convinced that it could be like a Blaze type team too. But I have Red Flag and PBHG, a rematch in the finals with Red Flag taking it, and I have Union coming 3rd overall. Again, I really could go any way. The mixed division, as per normal, volatile, exciting. I'm just so excited to kind of see, especially after pool play. You get like a little bit of a sense, but going into the tournament, it's just like a bunch of unwritten stories.
Oh my gosh, unwritten stories. That is the last division we're talking about, open division. We're going to start with Pool A. So that's the number 1 seed overall, Furious George out of Vancouver, British Columbia. They came first in 2019 and 2021. I think it's fair to hold the number 1 spot. I don't think there were complaints there about that. I mean, USAU series, they won SFI West and Summer Solstice, and they also beat Rhino Slam, which I think is a pretty good team. They did suffer a loss to Soccer in that tournament. They had Dan LaFrance, who played for GOAT, Rush, Jacob Brissett, 36 points at WUC with Mephisto and U24, Landon Lavoie, U24 and Rumble. And then one of the best guests we've had, I'm going to say it publicly, Nicholas Sanchez. He was just so much fire when he came on the podcast, playing for UBC and Blackfish. And he's also there's a few others, but he joined the squad. They do lose Braden G. We already mentioned where he's going, but no Darren Wu, Ty Barbiri, and then Fred Lam and Brendan Wong retired. So they haven't really been tested yet in the Canadian circuit, and even in the American circuit, they've just got a lot of W's. So will this team add another trophy to their list of accolades? That's the question.
I believe they've only lost one CUCs.
Like game?
One, like CUCs. Like I think they've won every time they've played, except for the one time. I think it was like 2015.
2015 in Winnipeg. That is correct.
Like to GOAT, I believe.
That is also correct.
I do my research out here, Theo. I do my homework. All right. So I'm going to talk about the number 5 overall seed. We have Quake from Quebec City. They finished 4th in 2022. So Theo's been definitely hyped on this team, and they proved him right at No Borders by winning it all. They got some big-time throwers and athleticism, so watch out. Robin Dubé is a nasty handler, led the division with 26 assists at CUCs in 2022, and has been impressed watching him play. I mean, Theo, you're a big fan, correct?
Yeah, he was really good for them and has been good for them. So, yeah.
They add ex-Royal and Mephisto Vincent Jeunesse, as well as
Genet.
You
gotta French it up, Danny. Come on.
I know, I'm talking about a French team. Okay, Genet, as well as U24 player Thomas Richard Mahar. What? That's how I'd say it normally.
Richard Mahar. Yeah, because I called his game last year when he was on Origin, unless I got it wrong. So,
I think calling a French game is my nightmare.
You might do it this weekend.
I'm definitely doing it, and I barely passed French. I graduated, but barely. At Jazz Fest, they suffered a hiccup after blowing through pool play. They lost to GT and finished 5th overall, which was followed up by a 2nd place finish at Quebec Regionals, losing to Mephisto. Quake has a record of 2-2 against CUC teams, and they got some good experience battling out a Fuller and Somme squad at Frisbee Fest earlier in the year. And they're hoping to make a late season momentum shift with their no borders win carrying over. Can they break into semis again with a much deeper division this year? Time will tell.
Well, we'll tell like in a few days, but yes, time will tell for them. I like this matchup for them. Number 9 seed overall Pipe. Toronto's a new team, but it's the reincarnated Boat from last year who came 5th. They have Griffin McKee back, breakout player for the Rush. Played U20 as well. And then they also have U20, U24 star player. I was told, I'm not sure if you told me this story, but when he was in Europe for that, people would come up to him and just be like, AUDL superstar, Oscar Stonehouse. Like, they want his autograph and stuff like that. So he had 45 points across the 2 tournaments. They also added rush players like Chris Chan and Owen Robinson, as well as, I'm going to say it, U24 mixed breakout star Logan Keylor. He may have had some crazy plays for your team, by the way. They also added Jack Park, ex-Union, David Petsinas, who's playing with Hound last season and playing with GOAT at some U.S. tournaments as well this year. The Pipe won their first 2 tournaments, Tux and Jazz, before coming 3rd at OUC. They had to face a little bit of a tougher competition there. At No Borders, they had a disappointing finish. They came 7th. That's not great. I know I'm going to hear that they didn't have their full roster, but you went as your team name, so that's what happens. They've yet to play Quake from my count, so that'll be a good pool play matchup. And I think with their full roster, this team is poised to make like a very large run, potentially.
I'm a huge fan of this team. I'm an even bigger fan of Logan Keylor. You wrote U24 breakout player or star player in the mixed division, and I couldn't agree more. No matter what the score was, this kid is relentless. Whether we're up by 10 or down by 8, he's a game changer. So I'm very, very excited to see what they can do. Number 15 overall, we have Streetcar from Winnipeg, so a new team. So first of all, we love that there is a second team in Winnipeg again. In 2014 at Nationals, Theo remembers playing Critical Mass, which was the second team out of Winnipeg at that time. So it's really cool to see that they have a second team again. When you played them, were they good?
They had a couple like General Strike players, I believe. Mike Trur was on that team as well, and he had just played U24s. I remember we lost to them by 1, but that's only because it was upwind, downwind, and no one could score upwind.
I see. All right. Well, they have Braden Nemechek, who is an ex-PBHG player, is currently on Strike's PALC roster. So is Ari Nidekman, interestingly enough.
I saw that name, by the way. I was like, what?
Or Nidikobe, whatever we're calling him now. An ex-Mofo player, Alex Henwood. They did play a tournament in Minnesota in June, so they have some experience playing together, but we don't really have any results from them playing against other Canadian teams. So can Streetcar derail some teams who have bracket aspirations? We have our Pool A game to watch, brought to you by the Huckin A podcast. Pipe versus Quake. I'll be tuning in for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if that game will be streamed. I hope it is, but that is like for sure the game to watch. Get yourself in better power pool situation. So number 2 seed overall is Toronto's GOAT. They came, you're going to hear this, third at UCI. The team last won in 2017 when they beat General Strike in Ottawa. But the last 2 times they've played nationals, they've lost. 2019, 2020, they did not win, okay? You know the names: Andrew Carroll, Jeff Powell, Luke Comire, Lewis brothers. I could keep going. But they add U20 and U24 player Dax Miller, who had a combined 32 points across the 2 tournaments. He was the first runner-up rookie of the year as well. While at Queens, Thomas Edmonds, who made the mixed team, but obviously that tournament didn't happen in 2020 for Team Canada, has also played for Truck Stop and the Breeze. And I think I'm particularly excited about this addition for GOAT. I know Edmonds also played with GOAT at WUC last year. They also add Matt O'Brien, who's played for Outlaws in Phoenix. They squeaked out a 14-13 win over Phoenix at regionals, but then they lost to them SFI, which could potentially impact their bid chances for the Northeast on the USAU side of things. At Pro Elite Challenge West, they placed 4th. They lost to Sockeye Revolver and Rhino Slam, but they did beat Chain, so they did beat a nationals level team in Chain there. Can GOAT get back to the podium? Not just the podium. Can they win a title, their first since 2017? That's the question. Can they do it?
It's a rhetorical question, so I will not answer. We got the number 8 seed overall, which is the number 2 team in Pool B. We got the Rumble from Alberta. I feel like on some things on the Ultimate Canada website, it still says AFC.
Yeah, they're confusing me with this. Is it AFC Rumble? Is it Rumble? Is it AFC? What is it? I have it as Rumble.
What is it? We need to know. Theo specifically needs to know. So they finished 2nd overall in 2022. The silver medalists from last year are back with multiple U24 player Alex Bedard. He played mixed last cycle, he played open this cycle, really controls and helps propel their backfield. They got Michigan State alum. That's so random.
I had to put that in there. I just had to.
Dave Hochholter, who also just had a bazillion assists at Masters Nationals, 40 something.
Yeah, that stat line was crazy.
And the 2nd overall stat leader in Open Masters was his brother.
Oh, Tyler?
Which is hilarious. It was number 1 and number 2. What was everybody else doing? And they also have Jordan Vogel, who is athletic as hell. And Theo, you wrote as hell.
Am I not?
That's inappropriate.
Oh, I can't say it on the air. Sorry. He's athletic as blank.
No, I mean, I can say it. No worries. He's athletic as hell. 8 players in double-digit points last year, and they're only lose 1 of them in Landon Lavoie to Furious. So, fun fact, Troy Redshaw played for Waro, which is the Venezuela... Waro. I only know
that because I called the game. That's the only reason why I'm correcting you.
Who did they play against? Because I've watched them play, and they were very exciting.
Oh, wait. How the hell do I not know this? I called the game. Waro versus Free Speed out of Switzerland.
Oh, that's why I was watching, because I was watching the Switzerland players for U24, because quite a few of them were on the U24.
Oh, so you were scouting,
team.
eh?
So I was like, why have I seen this game? They're quite good. They had a really good deep game. So this player finished with 32 points. Chris Artabello, he's Team Canada coach, U24 Opens. Now he's also the Team Canada coach for WUC Open, is the coach of this squad. Team is focused on forming a more complete provincial team. So it's not just from Edmonton, it's also Calgary. So a little bit more, I think that's probably why they're going Rumble rather than it's like a club thing that they're trying to develop. So the question is, this rhetorical question, will this team crack into semis with a much tougher field at nationals this year?
Number 10 seed overall, Blackfish out of Vancouver, the hometown squad, 6th last year. I remember just seeing them, and they were like, because I didn't pick them to make quarters, and they were you remember the story? They're like chanting my name every time they scored. I think that's pretty funny. Anyways, they took down Surf to get here. They're gonna have to do it without leading scorer Ryan Graves. Do you know where he playing somewhere?
Taking this season off, I think like just UBC and everything, just wanting to heal his body to be able to play UBC again, and probably club next cycle.
Okay, so Tyler Gunasekara went to Strawberry Kitty Kisses. Nicholas Sanchez, we already talked about him, went to Furious, but they do add U20 player Wesley Wong, double W, as well as ex-Red Flagging UBC player Jesse Watt. He's actually from Toronto. Oklahoma Christian rookie U20 player, I remember calling his games, Ryan Louis Ying. And then Braden Robinson, who's played for Phoenix and also playing Furious for U.S. tournaments, I believe, and playing Blackfish for this tournament. Jonah Lee Ash is listed on their coaching staff, and I think that's really good for them to like have someone who's played at that level, is also coached with UBC now. So I think that's great. They came 7th at Summer Solstice, going 5-2. The question is, will they make the top 8 in their hometown nationals?
Maybe. I just watched a scrimmage it was Blackfish versus Furious yesterday. And I also want to shout out Austin Yen on this squad, who made the U20 team in 2020. His throws are dimes, and I think like the athleticism that they have on that team with Austin Yen on the field is just going to be a pretty deadly combination. We got number 15 overall Rut from Regina. They did not participate in 2022, so we don't know a lot about this team. Even Theo, with his like super creep, super sleuth, investigative journalism, could not find a lot about him, but we did recognize the name Colin Young from his coaching days. He was on Dead Circus roster, came second at CUC Masters. Other than that, without this team going to many tournaments or CUCs in the past, it's kind of hard to know what's going on. But the Bucks from Saskatchewan want to catch people off guard. So with little or no knowledge of them, they might just do that.
Game to watch, GOAT versus Rumble. That's what we're saying. Rumble's going to...
For obvious reasons.
Yeah, I think that goes without saying. Anyways, Pool C now. Phoenix out of Ottawa. They came 4th at UCI. This team has been knocking at the door, like knocking. UCI, I know they led against GOAT. I believe they also led against Furious, because I remember hearing that when I was calling a game. They were leading against Furious at one point as well, but they lost both of those games. This year at regionals, similar story. They were leading against GOAT. They're on the doorstep of the end zone. Scuba turnover. GOAT works it up in a few passes and beats them. So it's like, oh man, we can't beat these teams. But they defeated GOAT at SFI. So maybe they're changing the narrative here. They have a much more focused team, and they also brought in Luke Phelan, who was our coach of the year with U Ottawa in college, and I think that's really been helpful. They got a lot of people with U24 experience, a couple of mixed players out here, Ben Simmons, Cam Kennedy, but also some open players as well, Brendan Adibay, Ian Wallace, Martin Gallant, our rookie of the year. And they also get veteran Mike Lee back, who was like killing it at Wamuck with Still. He was like tearing it up. And living legend Cam Harris. So Cam apparently was not on that Phoenix team at SFI. So they're adding him back. Ooh, be careful about this team. They were hoping for their first title since 2018. So this Phoenix team, no more Outlaws. So they're kind of just focused on club, So we'll see.
We will see. Number 6 overall, we have Red Circus from Halifax. They came 6th at UCI in 2021. So this team returns to take on Canada's best after not appearing last season, and before that, playing at UCI, and then I guess CUCs in 2018. Did they not go to 2019 CUCs from your sleuthing? No. Okay.
No, I mean, I could be proven wrong, but no, I didn't find that.
So they've definitely been trying to get a lot of experience this year, and it's tough because it's not like they can just drive to No Borders or any of these other tournaments like a lot of these other East teams, but they have been putting in effort. They've gone to tournaments in Ontario and Quebec, and so that we have actually seen some connectivity with this team. So they took 3rd at Jazz Fest after falling to Pipe in semis, despite defeating them a day earlier in pool play. So I guess they're 1-1 with Pipe, or have they played them more than that time?
Oh, dang. Putting me on the spot like that? Come on.
Didn't I tell you there was going to be a quiz? Okay, at No
God.
Borders, they suffered a heartbreaking universe point loss. They had 2 chances to quake in the final. So obviously a strong team. All these teams that they're losing to and winning are in the top of this division. So hopefully these losses and experiences will help fuel them to a semis run and beyond. They went an even 2-2 versus CUC competition. I assume based on that stat line that means that they've only played Pipe the 2 times.
Well, they beat Pipe again at No Borders.
I see. Okay. Grant McDonald got experience U24. Love him. He's a field marshal. Garrett Jung has been with the team for a while. Josh Turner has turned some heads with Dalhousie this past college season, and they got some grindy, scrappy defenders, which is everything we would expect from this team. Can this East Coast, legit East Coast team prove that they're the best coast while they're in the West Coast?
It's a lot of puns, but we like it. We like it. Number 11, Flat Ballers out of Quebec. I'm going to say just out of Quebec because they kind of have players from all over. When they first qualified, some people weren't sure if they're going to take the bid, but they are going. They got 16 players. Some of the roster has changed, but they do have Miguel Goder, who's played Mephisto Royale. Chuck Cantone played Ensom, was actually really impressed with his play at regionals when I watched. And then Shaggy, who's an absolute legend. But they won't have some players that were on that regionals roster, like Oliver Saint-Denis, who's played U24s, Nabil Chaouch, who's played Mephisto. And then I think their biggest loss is Charles Asselin, who's led all people with 41. Is that goals, points? I don't even know. At WUC in the mixed division with Lab. So not having him there sucks for them, but it's what happens. 41 goals. I just double checked there. Okay. So does this team have a chance to make quarters? Maybe. They did lose to Mephisto big 15-5 at regionals. Didn't play Quake. So we'll see what happens with this new squad. They got some sick videos though on their socials.
They haven't played Quake yet this season.
Yeah, they only played one tournament, regionals, and they didn't play Quake.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Number 13 overall, we got the Whiskey Jacks from Calgary. In 2022, they finished 14th overall, and they are the second team coming out of Alberta. They return captain Arthur Lau, but lose leading scorer Keith Letendre and players like Cody Wonder, Jebediah Heel, all going to AFC Rumble or AFC, or the team formerly known as AFC. So not much is out there about them on social media or with results. So similar to Rut, can the unknownness of this team catch people off guard? We have our Huckin game to watch. Phoenix versus Red Circus. At this current moment, it looks like it's going to be live streamed. So if you can't catch the action in person, you can most likely watch it from across our lovely nation and beyond.
Yeah, 4:30 on Thursday. That's the game. That's a huge game. Okay, we're going to wrap up this preview. It's a long one, but we're almost there. Pool D, Mephisto out of Montreal. They came second at UCI. I was very hyped on this team. They won Canada Cup as well. But, and they were mere points away from beating Furious at UCI. You were at that game. That was a pretty sick game. It was raining. Fun times in Ottawa. Fast forward to last season. They don't participate in CUCs. They lose to the infamous Tire Biz Frizz, and they don't even make regionals out here. They got a new coaching staff in here now. So Alex Lemieux, he was our coach of the year first runner-up with McGill on the women's side, and they've added Cedric Albu and Charles Barreteau that also are on the coaching staff. But hey, they lost some big-time players. Malik Ojay-Samar, he was getting some love on Deep Look, by the way, for his play at US Open with Machine. So he'll be playing for Machine in the fall, but he'll be playing with General Strike this tournament. They also lose Jacob Brissett to Furious. Another Jacob and Duquette to General Strike. They lose Hayden Stone, Quentin Bonneau, and then Sasha Płatsakolski, French World Games player. It's like some big losses for them. But they have some U24 players that got experience, like defensive player Yuan Cohoner, Felix Leonard, who I've already said this, I think, on a podcast, but he was really impressive in just like how he led your team. Elliot Alwar, Raphael Lalonde-Landry, and Julian Bernal were also getting that U24 XP. They still got KQ, Kevin Quinlan, and CTJ, who was on the Team Canada World Games team before he got hurt. So they didn't have their full roster because of U24s, obviously, and they still won the whole thing. But they're going to face a very good team that you're going to talk about next. This is the best matchup out of all the pools. I'm just saying.
You're just saying. We got number 6 overall, General Strike from Winnipeg. They are your returning champions. Well, they're returning from being champions. Can they make it back-to-back? Better than last year. Okay, so they add back Cam Burden and another living legend, Mark Lloyd, along with Malik. We already talked about this in the last one from Team Canada World Games, and Jacob Duquette. Returned mostly everyone from the team last year, including Stephen Carew, who needs more shine and more love.
Yes, he does. He does. It's true.
I mean, you said it. Nick McFadden, Huckin A, Player of the Year and Offensive Player of the Year and CUC MVP. We got Devin Cohen, CUC MVP last year, and they have players that gained U24. You said XP. I love that. Reps like Zach Tottle, Quinn Wilson, and Jeff Boris. So this team went undefeated at Boston Invite, and they have wins against Regiment, who was also there. So they're 6-3 on Blueprint in the final before it was rained out. So I think, was it just that game that was rained out for them? Like the rest of the games they were able to play fully. It was just the final that was cut short?
Yeah. They were able to win the other games, yeah.
All right, so this team finally peaked last season, and they're looking to repeat as champs, but it will not be as easy. Not that it was easy last year, but it will be even more difficult this year for them to get through it. So they'll have to go through GOAT and power pools, most likely to avoid having to face Furious in semis.
And then go to the finals.
Of course. But once a team does learn how to win, sometimes it's just you need to be in those games and lose a couple times in order to know how to win. Now you never know what happens. They know how to win. They could be the type of team that peaks at the right moment.
Next, we got Regiment out of St. John's, Newfoundland, 14th overall last year. I think they're the most East Coast team. I could be fact-checked on that. But they did play General Strike at Boston Invite, but lost. They did go winless, but have a tight loss to Seattle Switchback 10-11. Nicholas House, big-time player for them, 18 assists, 5 goals last year, and also is a huge community builder. We had him on the podcast many, many moons ago that you could listen to. They had 2 top goal scorers in the open division, Cameron Penny with 37 points and Andrew Workman with 28. So they're both on the team, and they have the sickest name I think I've seen on a roster, Giovanni Passanetti. That's a good Italian name for you, and he'll be on the squad. But I think we've said this before for this team. It's tough when you're not in a geographic location to play a lot of other teams. It's always tough.
It is tough. I'm so happy that you said that name because I'm looking at it and it's just like a lot of consonants in there. I'm scared to commentate, Theo. Are people going to come for me when I say their names wrong the entire time?
Okay, this is a side note, but I mean, I know you're already going to do this and you have some bets with you and Clay and Kevin, but you need to ask.
Go ask. I know.
No, don't just ask the coach. This is what I've learned. You need to ask the player. Like, you need to go up to, like, often the coach doesn't know or says they know, but they like give you an answer that you're like, okay, you don't know. And so you just like, especially if it's during warm-ups, you just like quickly pull them aside and just get them to say it for you multiple times. That's the best way, because then if you get it wrong, it's like, well, you told me it was this way. So.
And you know, if you say it's wrong, maybe, and it's their fault, it's too bad. So coming out at number 14 overall, we have Too Bad from Toronto. Theo just gave me the worst face ever. I wish this video was live because we like the react. So they finished nothing. Never mind. They did not finish anything. So they are a pickup squad from Toronto. They got in because another team was disqualified, which we're not going to talk about on this episode, but we might actually have.
Oh no, you're going to hype it now. You're going to hype it now.
Potentially an interview with a specific person to shed some light from the perspective of the team that was disqualified.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're promising this right now. I love it.
I said maybe, and I didn't say a name. Okay, so Too Bad has not appeared at Nat since 2018, and at the time they came in 8th. So Harry Berkman is a legend of the game. He's kind of like the captain, coach, leader of the squad. I assume
he don't play,
but he's captain, coach, leader.
Yeah, he's like a much older legend gentleman that definitely is not playing, but is always running the team.
Got it. So when speaking about the results, we must take everything with a grain of salt because they have a very different roster for nationals that they did have for regionals. So at Tux, they came second and they lost in the game to go against Hound at regionals. On the season, they have a record of 0-4 against CUC teams, with all of their losses coming to Pipe, which is like my favorite team. So their roster has 12 players from their regionals roster back, including Cooper Too Good, Red Circus and GT, and Xander Jung. Tula played Mofu back in the day and won a title. So they have kind of an infusion of players from all over. The bigger news is who they added. So they added 4 GT players to their squad to make it up to 16. So they eliminated GT in the game to go to the game to go.
Correct.
And then they lost in the game to go, but then they got into the game. They got a bid and pulled up. Anyways,
Yes.
it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So they added James McLean from Rush, who got 10 points at CUC's. Oren Bynan from Rush.
Oh, Oren's not going to like that. Let's see if you can practice his name. Banoon.
Banoon is way cooler.
Yeah, it's way cooler.
But I feel like there should be an accent on it.
Oren and Gil Banoon were one of the first people I met from commentating when I started calling games in 2019. And I remember just having to like practice that name constantly
because if it were Banoon, I would either add another U or add some sort of accent. Like if I'm commentating and I'm writing things out phonetically, I just add another U and then I'd probably say it correctly. So you should change your name. No, Banoon. I will never say that incorrectly ever again. And then you have George Lapierre. How do you say Lapierre?
That one I've never... Actually, I should know this because I called this game, but I think it's Leper, but it could be Lapierre, actually.
Played Spawn in 2022, and they also added a U24 mixed team star. We got Zach Armstrong, who also played for Rush, and a bronze medalist with Hound last year. So is this team just happy to be here? Or are they going to try to make a run in the bracket? Are they going to try to prove the haters wrong? Our Huckin game to watch is Mephisto versus Strike, because the winner of this does get a huge boost into power pools. The game matters. It's potentially like a semi-quarter type of matchup. So we love seeing these in pool play. Yeah,
the top two teams. I'm not going to repeat it. We already said in the women's, whatever applied to the women's with the power pools is going to apply here, okay? Because it's 16 teams. Picks, we're going to do picks, of course. And this is the only division where we can both do picks, so that's kind of fun. Danny, should I start off and then I'll let you get to your picks?
Well, you actually have like who you have matched up in quarters, so and I don't. So I'll just say my quarters first.
Okay, sure.
So I got Furious, Goat, Mephisto, Phoenix, Red Circus, Strike, Quake. So I go top 7, but then I skip Rumble.
Ooh, tough.
I know, tough. And then I add Pipe.
Oh, I just realized I went chalk. Oh, this is terrible. I have Furious and Rumble in quarters, Furious winning, Goat versus Red Circus, Goat winning, Strike versus Quake, and Phoenix versus Mephisto with the two Quebec teams losing. And the way I have it set up, I have Strike beating Goat in power pools. So I know Goat's not gonna Goat fans out there not gonna like that, but I have Furious versus Goat in the semis with Furious George winning. I think just like what they've done this season has been really impressive. And then I have Strike continuing their momentum, beating Phoenix, and Furious winning it all. So Furious George winning here. That's what I have. And I have Goat coming in third.
I have Furious versus Strike in a semi. And then I have Goat versus Phoenix in the other semi. And
I love this pick. I love this. This is going to be so good.
The spiciest final.
Say it.
Furious versus Phoenix. Imagine if I'm right, though. Okay, like, sure.
You put this in the picks contest, right? Like, you put it in the Google.
I could be wrong, but what if I'm right? Okay, but then I have Furious winning.
Okay. And so who you got a third place out here? You're gonna?
I've got Goat finishing in third.
Over Strike. Okay.
Over.
Well,
Strike,
it's on the picks contest, so you can just say it. That's fine.
Yeah, but I mean, I have it written down here. Goat getting third. Yes. Oh man. Wow. I'm exhausted.
We hope that you stayed for the whole episode, or you can use the chapters to like scroll through. I'm just looking at the summary so far of the picks, and so the same amount of people have picked Phoenix and General Strike to win the whole tournament, but there's a lot more people that picked Phoenix to make finals. So a lot of people are picking Phoenix to make finals. So maybe you're kind of right there.
Well, just because other people also thought that based on a recent tournament doesn't mean I'm more right. It could just mean we all have a recency bias. I just know that if they do that well at that tournament and beat Goat and they don't have Cam Harris playing.
It could mean blind leading the blind, though. Like people just like going off some false results, or not false results, but recency results, as you mentioned. But anywho, that is our episode for today. Thank you for sticking around. If you have, we appreciate that. Once again, no junior recap because that's going to come out after
After the juniors. Yeah.
No, after juniors and seniors, right?
Yes, but after they play, we can't recap it yet.
We have predictions. That's all we got. Go listen to that other
That's all
episode
we got.
as well. Follow us on Instagram. We're very close to 3,000.
So close. What's going to happen at 3,000 again?
Weren't we supposed to write a poem for someone that made it 2,000? But I don't think we ever did. So
No, I think I did.
did you?
But yeah, we'll write a
Oh
poem
no, not another poem.
for whoever is our 3,000th follower.
Hey, last thing I'll say is bring your jerseys to trade. Come see me. Find me at the tournament.
Do not find me. You can say hi, but don't try to trade jerseys with me.
You're not gonna trade?
No. I like my jerseys.
Okay. Thank
They're
you.
nostalgic.
Thank you for tuning in. Any final words, Danny, before we sign off?
No. Goodbye. Such a long episode.
See ya.
Bye.